The hallway of Ridgeview Memorial Hospital buzzed with the low hum of machines, hurried footsteps, and murmured conversations. It was just after noon when 94-year-old war veteran Walter Briggs was wheeled into Ward C. His frail hands trembled slightly as he clutched the edge of his thin blanket. His eyes, though clouded with age, still held a flicker of determination, a glow shaped by decades of surviving what others could barely imagine. The staff knew he was a veteran, but most didn't know what kind. Few people alive had witnessed what Walter had. Few understood the weight of his medals, tucked away in a small box his granddaughter kept at home. But one person didn't seem to care at all, Nurse Harper. She stepped into the room with an irritated sigh, holding a clipboard as if it offended her. "All right, Mr. Briggs," she muttered, dropping the chart on the counter. "Let's try not to take all day with your little breathing test again. Some of us have actual work to do." Walter shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, I'm trying," he whispered. She rolled her eyes. "Sure you are. Maybe if you weren't so ancient, things would go faster." Walter lowered his eyes, shame creeping across his face. He had survived war zones, storms at sea, and enemies with weapons. But this small humiliation somehow stung worse. What Nurse Harper didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that Walter wasn't alone that day. At the far end of the hallway, the elevator doors slid open with a metallic ding. Out stepped three massive men wearing leather vests, patches shining like warnings. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club had arrived. The hospital lobby froze for a moment as the bikers walked in, their boots echoing against the polished floor. They moved with calm, coordinated confidence, not the chaos the movies portrayed. These men were disciplined, loyal, and unshakably protective of those they cared about, and today, they were here for Walter, because what Nurse Harper also didn't know was that Walter had once saved the life of a young soldier overseas, someone who would later become a founding member of a local Hells Angels charter. Over the years, the club had adopted Walter as an honorary uncle. They checked on him regularly, helped maintain his house, and visited every holiday. But today's visit was unexpected. The bikers, Rudy, Bear, and Lyle, had come to bring Walter his favorite homemade stew. They walked toward Ward C, laughing quietly among themselves. Then the laughter died. Before they even entered the room, they heard Nurse Harper's voice carrying down the hallway. "Let's hurry this up, Mr. Briggs. I don't have time to babysit someone who can't even breathe right." Walter flinched again. Rudy's jaw tightened. "Bear whispered, she talking to Walt like that?" Lyle clenched his fists. "Not on our watch." The three men stepped silently into the doorway. Nurse Harper didn't notice them at first. "Come on, old man," she snapped, "blow into the tube. It's not rocket science. Or are you too tired from your ancient war stories?" Walter's face fell. He didn't hear the footsteps behind him, heavy boots that suddenly stopped, but Nurse Harper heard something else. A low, rumbling voice, "Excuse me." She turned and froze. Three enormous men in full Hells Angels colors stood behind her, arms crossed, faces unreadable. The room fell completely silent, so silent that even the heart monitor's beep seemed to soften. Rudy stepped forward first. His voice was calm but carried the weight of thunder. "Is there a reason?" he said slowly. "You're talking to our family like that?" Nurse Harper blinked rapidly. "A family?" Bear pointed gently at Walter. "That man right there risked his life so you could live yours in peace. Show him some respect." Lyle added, "He survived battles tougher than anything you've ever seen. And he deserves dignity in his old age. Something he's not getting from you." Walter looked up, confused at first, then relieved. Nurse Harper swallowed hard. I didn't know he was connected to you." Rudy's eyes narrowed. "Why would that matter? Anyone deserves respect. But especially someone who served his country." The nurse had no response. Bear walked to Walter's side and placed a massive gentle hand on his shoulder. "Hey Walt. You okay?" Walter nodded, eyes misty. "Boys, you didn't have to come." Lyle chuckled softly. "You saved Uncle Joe back in '45. We owe you more than you know." The room stayed frozen in an eerie silence. Nurse Harper suddenly felt very, very small. Rudy stepped closer to her, not threatening, but firm. "Ma'am, do your job. Professionally. Kindly. We're not here to scare anyone. But we protect our own. And this man is a hero." Her face flushed red. "I'm sorry, Mr. Briggs," she whispered, her voice suddenly soft. "I didn't mean to be harsh." Walter simply nodded. Thank you, ma'am. With a shaky breath, she excused herself and left the room quickly, closing the door behind her. Once she was gone, Bear burst out laughing. Did you see her face? Walter chuckled weakly. Boys, you'll get me kicked out of here. Rudy sat beside the bed. Walt, if they kick you out, you come live with us. We've got a big house and a bigger backyard. You'll be fed like a king. Lyle added, and nobody will ever talk down to you again. Walter felt warmth spread through his chest, a kind he hadn't felt in a long time. Family wasn't just blood. Sometimes it was forged through battle, loyalty, and gratitude. The brothers stayed with him for the next 2 hours, feeding him stew, telling jokes, and reminding him that despite his age, he was still valued. Still loved. Outside, the rumor spread through the hospital like wildfire. The Hells Angels had walked in and defended an old veteran, and something changed. Doctors greeted Walter more kindly. Nurses treated him with newfound respect. Even the cleaners smiled at him. Sometimes respect isn't demanded, it's awakened, and all it took was 30 seconds of silence.